Today I want to talk about the gospel Christian R&B group, the Kenoly Brothers. They grew up in the Christian household with musicians. Their father is a gospel legend by the name of Ron Kenoly. He wrote and produced a lot of worship albums. He charted on the Billboard charts, won a Dove Award, and made a name for himself. So his sons grew up in church and with music. I think they sang at the church choir and learned how to use their voices properly. When they became a little bit older, they started to perform with their dad on different shows. So they had music in their DNA since they are young boys. The 90s were so legendary because so many things were just different. From the style to the music, hip-hop, R&B, there has been a lot of experimentation with music styles, with music genres. And it was important because it was a new generation, it was a different generation, and every generation is harder to convince. For example, a lot of gospel artists started to put New Jack Swing on their music, started to rap more to reach the new generation, the younger generation. With that type of energy that was coming around at that time, the Kenoly Brothers decided to do their music with their own style, their own message, do it in a classy Christian way, but to sound fresh, to look fresh, do it the way they feel it. And I think the focus was to touch more younger people, the younger generation. So they went straight to the studio and started to work on their debut album. In 1997 they released their first solo album, Who Is the Gods There. At that time they were signed by Right Hand Records. The album didn't chart on the Billboard charts. It was a small label, not a lot of budget, and I think they did not expect to chart. Let's remind you, 1997, no social media, no Spotify, no YouTube. You didn't have the chance to go viral with your music, and at that time you have to understand Christian R&B music was not that popular. Like, you had Christian music, you had gospel music, but the Christian R&B artists were always rejected from the gospel community because Christians always said they don't belong to us, they are too poppy, they are pop. And the pop stations were always like, this is too Christian, this is too gospel, it don't belong to us, go more to the gospel stations. So there were no room for those artists at that time. And without the machines, without the budget, it was hard at that time to promote your music because internet was not the internet that we know today. Thank the father who was already known in the Christian community. I think he helped them to connect with the public and to get people to get to know them a little bit more. After that, they signed a new record deal on Next Generation Ministry Records. With this album they became older, they worked on their sound, and they came back stronger. They released that album in 1999 with 17 great tracks, great vocals, great messages, a 90s sound, and a mix between worship, gospel, hip-hop, R&B. On 2002 they released their last and final album on Next Generation Ministry Records, No Distance. That's their last album, but it's the best album. It gives you a R&B vibe with worship, especially songs like Spend Some Time, the La La song, Bad Situation, really amazing songs. Some years later, Ronald Kenoly, one of the brothers, decided to do more rap music, and I think he produced a rap album. In the internet you cannot find a lot about this biography. There's not a lot, and sadly they don't put their old music on the social media platforms like Spotify, iTunes, and all the different platforms that we have today. I only got to know the group in January 2002, and that because YouTube showed me them, and I'm impressed with their music. I heard 2 albums of them, No Distance and All the Way. If you don't know their music, go on YouTube and check that out. I never got the chance to listen to the first album because you cannot find the first album anywhere. Not on Spotify, not on YouTube, not on iTunes, nowhere. Back then they did not have the chance to promote their music through internet. But we're living in a golden era and an amazing time. Like, even if the music is 20 years old or over 20 years old, it's still amazing, inspirational. I think it's time for them to upload all their music, all their albums, the whole catalog, unreleased music to all the social media platforms, because people deserve to know them and to know their great music. They did something amazing and they can be very proud of what they did. They need to upload their music, and even if they decide to never do an album again, let the people hear what you did in the past, because it will benefit the world to become a better place. Like I said, I didn't know them from the early 2000s or from the 90s. I was a young boy, but right now I listened to them in January, and since then I listened to those two albums so much. And now I'm telling you, it's time for them to step their social media game up and to be more present with their past music on all the social media platforms. The sad thing is we had so many great groups, underground groups or artists at that time in the 90s and the early 2000s, but they never had the chance to connect with the fans, to promote their music. And I think now it's the time where you should do that, and that's the best thing those two talented great brothers can do. I hope you liked the video, and yes, leave me a thumb up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment there. And if you want to know what happened to the Christian R&B group Out of Eden, then click into the info card and watch the video.